Now, if you walked in here and I was working on my computer and you go, Scanlon, can I kill this? I wouldn't just say yes. I also wouldn't just say no. I would want to look up and see what is the this to which you're referring. If you're holding a roach in your hand, I'll be like, go for it, kill it. If you're holding a spider in your hand, I might say, let the spider live. Because if the spider lives, there will be fewer roaches. If you're holding your little brother, I'm going to say, no, do not kill this thing that you're holding. Because what this is matters when you ask that question, should I kill this? So when you see them fighting over there, if you can get them to believe something absurd, like they're not really human, in fact, not even are they not human, but they actually have horns and tails, just like the devil, just like the demons. They almost have an obligation now to kill them. I used to have a friend. It's true, I did. Very proud of myself. I used to have a friend, Ari Rubin. His father was actually very famous. Ari didn't know that I knew who his dad was until his dad died. I went to the funeral, and he didn't know that I realized who his dad was. And he's like, you know who my dad was? I go, yeah, of course. So how come you never told me? I go, no, you never told me who your dad was. I figured if you wanted me to know, you'd have told me. And Ari's a good dude, man. Ari saved my life one time. Ari was he was Jewish. He was a big Jew, dude. He was this big, and he's wide. I went to a protest with him. There were some neo-Nazis in Pasadena. It's a long story short, some skinheads. And Ari was big, and Ari liked to fight. And those are good friends to have. I like to fight too. So I'd go hang out with Ari, and we'd go get into fights with skinheads. And I saw the video of it because somebody was kind of recording it, a camcorder back then. We were getting, like, his group was getting into a fight with these skinheads over in Pasadena, so we jump into it, and there's a guy who's running up to me with like little mini bats that you can carry, like little clubs. The guy was running up behind me to hit me with it. I never even saw the dude coming. And on this video that I saw, Ari just smashes this guy over the face with like a big wooden sign, you know. And then one of the wood planks ends up going in the guy's eye. Turns out the guy lost his eye. Funny as shit. And then he and I were like back to back at one point, and I was just like, what the hell am I doing out here fighting with these dudes, man? And it's an interesting thing because when people say, like, you know, there's racism, then there's racism. I mean, when you see these people coming at you, there's a different look in their eye. And then they're looking at me like I'm the worst traitor in the world because I'm with these guys. But Ari committed suicide a few years ago, unfortunately. Went to law school, became a lawyer, and then things just struggled with some things. Had some struggles. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, one time Ari and I were at Pasadena City College. I was teaching over there, and that's actually where I met him. There was a debate going on. It was about whether or not God exists. And so we watched this debate. And then at the halfway point, as we were going in, there was this guy who came up to us and asked if, you know, what was going on. So we told him, and so he asked us, he's a Middle Eastern guy, and he asked us, is it open to the public? Can anybody go? Yeah, come on in with us. So he came with us. We watched the debate. During the intermission, we were talking, and at one point, Ari mentioned that he was Jewish. And this guy was, I said he was Middle Eastern, he was from Egypt. So the guy asks, Ari looks at him and goes, you're Jewish? And Ari says, yeah. And then the guy says, I don't understand. You seem so smart. And so I look at Ari, I'm like, so again, Ari likes to fight. Ari looks at me, I'm like, what are you gonna do? And Ari goes, what do you mean by that? And it's one of those rare times in Ari's life where he didn't choose violence. And the guy ends up back, I go, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't mean to offend you. He says, but I'm from Egypt. And we hear things, I've never met a Jew before. Because in Egypt, they're not allowed to be there. And so he's like, you've never met a Jew before? No. He's all, do you mind if I talk to you and ask you questions? He's like, we've been talking all night. And the guy goes on to explain to us that in school, they learn about Jews. They just don't get to meet any. For example, what they learned about Jews is that Jews are not actually human. That Jews are like a subspecies of humans. Something between the apes and the humans, you have Jews. And he points out that, for example, he asks Ari, he said that we learned that you guys have horns on your heads, and that's why you wear the yarmulke, because it covers up your horns. And Ari says, I don't have any horns, dude. And the guy goes, I don't mean to offend, but may I look for myself? So Ari looks at me, and I'm like, it's up to you, man. And of course, Ari's thinking, he's also concerned that this guy's going to attack him. And so Ari takes off his yarmulke, and the guy's like going through his jufro, looking for horns, and he's like, and this guy, and he said that he heard that they file them down so that they don't like poke out. And then he's like, and this guy's like face was like he didn't understand. He just goes, huh? He said, I've been learning since I was a kid that you guys have horns. That's why you guys are animals. And he's just like, I have no horns, my friend. And he goes, I've also heard that you guys have tails. Yeah, and then Ari says, I don't have a tail. He says, but I'm not letting you check that. And the guy was just like blown away because everything that he learned about Jews, and he learned this in school. He explained to us they have classes in school where they learn about the Jews, and they'll do like role-playing stuff where like if a Jew comes up to you and says this, here's how you can deal with them, and because the Jews are tricky, because they're basically of the devil and all this. And this is a guy who's from Egypt, which is considered a westernized kind of a country, but this is what they learn when they're in school, to think about the other side. How can you possibly bridge those gaps between these two sides then at that point? And so when we talk about, again, why can't there be peace? How come we can't work this thing out? Why these two sides hate each other? It's stuff like that. And by the way, what this guy's learning in Egypt is not the exception. They learn it in all the countries in that region. And so, yeah, good luck. Good luck with peace. This is one of the reasons that Israel is so militarized. In Israel, everybody has to serve in the military. And while you're serving in the military, you have to carry your rifle with you at all times, even when you're off duty. So again, having spent a lot of time over there, like you'll go to clubs and things, and you'll see people in the club, and they've got their rifles over their shoulders as they're dancing, and wearing all civilian clothes. It's really interesting. Yeah. Some of you guys are afraid to talk to your crush right now. Imagine if your crush was carrying a rifle. So, if you can get people to believe absurdities, like Jews have horns, Jews have tails, they're not really human, well then you can get them to commit injustices. What do you do to an ape that's attacking your family? Well, you kill him. What do you do to a spider that's walking towards you? Some of us freak out and we smash the spider. Why? Because it's not human. If you walked in here and I was working on my computer and you go, Scanlon, can I kill this? I wouldn't just say yes. I also wouldn't just say no. I would want to look up and see what is the this to which you're referring. If you're holding a roach in your hand, I'll be like, go for it, kill it. If you're holding a spider in your hand, I might say, let the spider live. Because if the spider lives, there will be fewer roaches. If you're holding your little brother, I'm going to say, no, do not kill this thing that you're holding. Because what this is matters when you ask that question. Should I kill this? So when you see them fighting over there, if you can get them to believe something absurd, like they're not really human. In fact, not even are they not human, but they actually have horns and tails, just like the devil, just like the demons. They almost have an obligation now to kill them. I mean, if the devil were to walk in here right now, I'm afraid some of you would recognize him. But if you didn't, and he told you who it was, some of us would feel the obligation to fight against him. If you felt that way about them, then you would be willing to commit injustices. You'd be willing to commit atrocities, because it wouldn't be against humans. It'd be against something non-human. So if you can get people to believe something absurd, then you have the power to commit. You have the power to get them to commit injustices. This is why it's so important to think about what you see. Right now, when you see the videos coming through, and we see all the terrible things, just keep in mind that there is a background there. There is a history there. And also what you might be seeing just might not be real. I have students who graduated just 3 or 4 years ago, and they're posting pictures all over Instagram of themselves back in high school, back in the 90s. You know? You guys seen this? It's the AI stuff where you take you get an app, and then it will tell you what you would have looked like in the 80s and the 90s if you were following those fashion trends. You sit there and go like, I wonder what I would look like as a cheerleader. You can put that in there, and it'll make you into a cheerleader. It'll show you what, and it won't. It's not even the exact same pose you have. It'll change your pose and everything. It'll give you pictures from different angles and stuff because the software can do that. And we're in a very difficult time right now where we don't know what's real and what's not. And I'm not saying that's what's going on over there. All I'm saying is, my student who graduated 5 years ago, I don't believe that she was a a goth chick in the 90s, like she just posted earlier today. I don't believe that she was, I don't think that's really her. I think the pictures of her, but obviously I can look at that and go, that's interesting, but it's also quite scary. Because with technology, you can do a lot of that kind of stuff right now. When you see videos coming out, make sure it's a real video. Make sure it's not a video from like 1989, which happens a lot. People will post things and go, look at what's happening over there right now. And then you can reverse search it and see, wow, this thing happened in 2015. This is an old video that they're just posting now saying that's happening right now. There's a lot of disinformation that comes out. You guys remember when the war in Ukraine started, there was what was it called? The Ghost of Kiev. It was a fighter pilot who shot down 5 Russian aircraft at once, and they had a video of it. It was a video from a video game. It just looked really, really real if you didn't know the video game. And they actually tried to pass it off like, hey, this really happened. No, but it didn't. But people who didn't know, didn't know. So, I'm not saying one side's right, I'm not saying one side's wrong. What I am saying is that it matters. It isn't just something that's happening far away, like the thing with Russia. It does matter. And it's difficult to pick a side. But if whatever it is I'll leave it with this. If the news and things that you're getting are very much like one-sided, like, wow, it looks like Israel's doing terrible things, you probably need to check your sources, because it's not one-sided. If what you're seeing is that, oh, Israel's completely right, they've done nothing wrong, then you probably need to check your sources. Check. In other words, the algorithm, for some reason, is feeding you propaganda from one side or the other. And that might tell you what kind of propaganda you're getting generally in your searches. And it's probably not just this one issue. So that's a long way around it. But questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques. Happy Wednesday, huh?